Well, here I am at the Foster Hewitt Gondola in Toronto Maple Leafs game, Scotiabank Arena. Major bucket list item for me. First time ever seeing the Leafs in Toronto, but even bigger is my old friend Chris Cuthbert, who goes back with me over 40 years, Chris.
Mm-hmm. And it's not the Bell Center, but it is one of the best booths in the league, that and the Bell Center. But nothing was quite like the Montreal Forum, as you and I both remember. But it's still kind of a bucket list item for me, too, to do games here, especially all Canadian matchups.
Yeah.
Tonight it's Ottawa. We've had
Yes.
some great matchups of late. Montreal was in, Edmonton, and Original Six stuff, too. So when Boston here on a Saturday night, it's kind of special, too.
Well, Chris, I have such great memories of you. And, you know, I'm so impressed because 7 years ago or so, I was at an Alouettes game and I hadn't seen you in then, you know, well more than 30 years. And you called my name out. You saw me. And then tonight I came to the media room to look for Chris. Before I even said anything, you recognized my voice. You pulled me in here. So, you know, you've got a great memory for people. And I was a young teenage reporter for the Sunday Express newspaper, which doesn't exist anymore. You were a young reporter for CJAD Radio. That's where you didn't begin your career, but that's where your career kind of took off, right?
It was. We had mutual colleagues. From Brody Snyder would write for the Sunday Express. He also did a Sunday morning radio show with magazine show with Bob Dunn and often with me. And there was so much going on in Montreal. It was a huge springboard for my career. I did mention to you that as much as covering the Canadians and the Alouettes Concord was big, one of the biggest springboards for me in my career was to be the voice of the Montreal Manic in the NASL. As it turned out, they were owned by Molson, who owned the production company for Hockey Night in Canada, and one thing led to another, and I just wanted to do play-by-play, and the NASL was a great opportunity at the time, and I had no idea that was probably going to get me to where I am right now.
I had no idea what a huge star you would become. And when it became to Le Manic, I covered them for the Express. And I always remember my fondest memory is one day I get a call and they said, we chartered a flight to Jacksonville. This was for the Indoor Soccer League, which was really exciting. Would you like to come on the plane? I had just started at the Sunday Express maybe 1 week in, and I was sitting with Chris Cuthbert on the plane and a guy named Mo Sperber. He was the color commentator. And we got there, and there was just nowhere to go. And then you turned to me and said, hey, Mike, we have a hotel room. You can hang out with us for the day. And we did. We hung out there. We walked around Jacksonville. We went to the game. I remember doing my story. And, you know, I always appreciate the fact that you gave me that opportunity.
Fun circuit back then. You mentioned Jacksonville. I think it was only the one trip for me to Jacksonville, but there was Fort Lauderdale. Here's one for you. They had a best 2 out of 3 playoff against Fort Lauderdale, and the first game was in Montreal. The second game was in Fort Lauderdale, and the third, if necessary, and that would be about 4 days later. And if necessary happened, and all of us had to stay an extra 4 days in Florida for the. And fortunately, the Manic came out on top of that one. My biggest memory of Montreal Manic was upsetting the New York Cosmos
with Pele.
50,000. This was Giorgio Canaglia. I never got a chance.
Okay, you're right.
Pele was before.
You're right.
We're too young for Pele.
We are, yes.
But Canaglia and a stacked team of the New York Cosmos, and to win at Giant Stadium was and 4-1 too. They crushed the Cosmos in that game.
I remember that. I remember that well. I remember it all. So you 4 years only in Montreal, and then you went on to Alberta, and from there on, you really started getting into play-by-play at a very high level for Hockey Night in Canada.
Well, I did go to Edmonton in 1984. Stayed there through '91, and I began my career at Hockey Night in October of '84 with a play-by-play game. But for a lot of the '80s, I was kind of half host, half fill-in play-by-play guy, and getting the experience to kind of become a regular. Strangely enough, they moved me back east in '91, and very shortly after that, there was the concept of a doubleheader. And after that, I became kind of the voice of the second game out west. So I was out west, moved east, and then started traveling west again for
Right.
the next 15 years or so.
Would you ever believe that, you would have such a prolific career and you're still going strong at 68 years young? Because I'm 63, so we're not hiding our age here. I mean, you're a household name among any hockey fan.
Well, I'm just pretty lucky to do what I've always wanted to do, and work with great people, work some amazing events. Four Nations was, the highlight will always be 2010. But I always said if I could get another highlight or two as big as that, I'd certainly be grateful for it. And Four Nations provided that. The Olympics coming up and Grey Cup. So yeah, I've checked just about every box, and I've almost worn out my welcome. So, but it's been great to this point.
The Olympics, you had the golden goal, right? Sidney Crosby's goal. That has to also rank right up there.
That is the best moment for sure. And again, McDavid's goal, surprisingly, I think just the environment of Canada-U.S. relations enhanced what was a long-awaited return to best on best. So the tournament was special, and the finish was too. And so yeah, that is right up there.
And what's it like when you come back to Montreal? You don't get to do that many games. John Bartlett usually gets the call, so you're here around the playoffs. But would you like to get to Montreal more often?
It's always great to be in Montreal. It's a special building. It's a special place, and that was kind of the best part of starting in Montreal, to cover a great Canadiens team. It was at the end, but to walk into a dressing room for a few years and interview Guy Lafleur and Bob Gainey and Larry Robinson and Serge Savard, that's pretty special.
One last question. You obviously you have the golden voice. You have a great voice, but you get very excited when a goal is scored. You have to, but you're not a Leafs fan, are you, Chris?
I grew up a Leafs fan, but now you can't be a fan of anybody. I get criticized in Toronto for not getting excited enough about the Leafs, and outside the critique is usually that we're too pro Toronto. But I am looking forward to a Canadian team winning a cup. I have not called that. I did get to call the first three rounds of the Canadiens' '93 Stanley Cup, and I'd have to go over how many of the overtime goals I got to call. But the series against Quebec was special. 3 overtime wins against Buffalo. I remember John Muckler of the Sabres afterwards said that was the closest 4-game sweep ever. and then after the Islanders had surprised Pittsburgh and knocked out Mario and company, it opened the door for the Canadiens to go to the Cup final, and so that was pretty special.
Well, Chris, I look forward to the day when you're inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame alongside your good friend Red Fisher.
Red was a great mentor for sure, and fond memories of Red. And there's Red's a one and only, and appreciate that. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to spend time with Red in Montreal and learn some of the ropes from him.
Well, great being reunited with you here today, Chris, in Toronto. Thanks for the time.
Good to see you, Mike. All the best.
Chris Cuthbert.